I got called out by Jubi. I got challenged by Jubi. I watched his video. I actually accidentally found out that I got challenged here. I saw his video about 10 new Element ideas, and halfway through it, he was just like, J Gigs needs to do this too. So I thought this was a pretty fun idea. So I've jumped in and come up with some that I think are kind of, some of them are kind of silly intentionally. Some of them I think are actually kind of decent. So we'll just jump in and get straight to it. I did go ahead and do 10 as well. So y'all be sure and let Jubi know. Come over here and check this out and let me know what he thinks about it. Man, there's a, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen his yet. But when he does the one, there's one name that he's real proud of. Oh man, it's tickled me this whole afternoon thinking about that. But anyway, let's kick it off with Secret Agent Peele. He's the first one we're going to look at today. He is a banana secret agent because, I don't know, why not, all right? Skill 1, Banana Snapshot, fires a silenced banana pistol at the enemy. Chance to put a defense down. If he's got speed up, he gives himself some attack bar with the skill. For the skill 2, Fruit Wire Trap, launches a tripwire gadget made from banana peels at all enemies. Removes 1 buff from each enemy. 75% chance to apply speed down for 2 turns and grants himself a speed buff to kind of complement the A1 there. And then Operation Split Peel drops a banana-shaped decoy drone and vanishes, which I think visually would be a really cool skill. Deals AoE damage based on accuracy. Applies silence for 1 turn and grants stealth to self for 2 turns. I thought it might be kind of cool if maybe, I don't know, I was thinking about how to do it, and then I was like, I'm spending too much time on something that's not real. Like, this isn't being added to the game. It's just a goofy thing. So I made myself move on, but I was trying to come up with a reasonable way for him to like turn into the banana drone and then like be untargetable or something. So like kind of the same thing stealth would give him, but cooler visually. Like he stays as the drone for a turn or 2 or something. I don't know exactly how to do it in a way that made a lot of sense, but that was my idea. And then he's got a passive, Slippery Intentions. When an enemy gains a buff, 35% chance to reduce their attack bar by 20%, and he gains evasion up. I thought it made sense since like slipping on a banana peel. I was trying to think of the best way to like make that make sense. So I thought maybe losing some attack bar might be the equivalent of that, and then giving himself evasion up, which we don't call it evasion up in this game. It's you could give them blind. I guess you could give them blind. You could either give yourself a foresight. I could not think of that earlier. You give yourself foresight, right? Or give the enemy blind. Maybe it makes a little bit more sense to give the enemy blind, but again, maybe that's also a little too strong. But also had to make myself move on because I was spending way too much time thinking about some of these. So let's see. Who do we want to do next? I kind of want to do them in a certain order because some of them are cool and I want to save them for a little bit later. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. This was the first one I came up with. Shark Jones. That's so dumb, dude. All right, skill 1, Hydraulic Haymaker, punches the enemy with hydraulic-powered brass knuckles. 30% chance to stun, damage increases based on missing HP of the enemy. Number 2, Finisher Protocol, like finisher. Do you get it? Delivers a devastating combo to a single enemy. Ignores 30% of the target's defense. If this attack kills an enemy, Shark Jones gains a shield for 2 turns equal to 25% of his max HP. If it doesn't kill, the cooldown is reduced by 1 turn. Thought that was kind of a cool idea for a skill. Skill 3 is Shark Tank. Releases a roar that provokes all enemies for 1 turn and grants counterattack and healing over turn to himself for 2 turns. And then I gave him a passive called Blood in the Water. When an enemy's HP drops below 30%, he attacks them with skill 2. And if that felt too strong, then maybe we would play around with like the multipliers, since it's also, that skill complements itself a lot. Or maybe we would say like attack them with skill 2, but with half the damage or something like that, so that it doesn't get insane. But I thought that was kind of a cool idea for him as well. How about next we talk about Chairbot 9000. Chairbot 9000. Skill 1, Lumbar Support. Stupid. It's dumb because, like, these are so intentionally dumb, but I also think most of them would be cool to add into the game. Skill 1 is lumbar support. Reclines violently into an enemy, knocking them off balance. 30% chance to provoke for 1 turn. If he's under a shield, then it's basically a guaranteed provoke, okay? Wheelie aggressive. Spins wildly, striking all enemies. 50% chance to stun for 1 turn. Grants himself a shield equal to his own max HP for 2 turns. And again, obviously, we're just kind of picking an element here. This would just have to be one of the elements, but like, you know, I'm not going to do 5 elements for each one. That would be insane. I guess unless they reach out to me and want me to design some characters, and then I guess we could talk about it. But skill 3. Ergonomic Uprising. Enters assault mode by granting defense up to self for 2 turns and rolling over all enemies. Damage is based on missing HP. Removes 1 buff from each enemy. And then for the passive, we got Tilt Lock engaged. Immune to disable effects. So it can't be stunned, can't be frozen, none of that. When attacked by melee skills, there's a 40% chance to counter with skill 1. And then stun duration reduced by 1. I don't know why that's there. Did I accidentally copy and paste that from somewhere else? I was having some issues. I was trying to structure my Photoshop template so that when I was typing in skills, it would stop reshaping it because it was becoming a real pain in the ass. And I guess maybe I left that in from somewhere else. That's not supposed to be there though, because he's immune to disable effects. So the stun thing's not supposed to be there. But so that ends at counter with skill 1, but kind of dumb, right? Just a little robot chair. All right, let's do an even dumber one here. This is so he had one in his video that was kind of a reference to a wrestler. So I thought I would go the same route here and do the same thing. That's the best picture I could get for it, so we just decided to roll with it. I kept being like, no, this looks too much like The Undertaker. You have to deviate a little bit. And it was like, no, this is what we're doing. So I was like, all right, fun. Waistband Lariat for the skill 1. Strikes the enemy with a brutal hook lariat. 30% chance to apply fear, which is like a stun and a skill reset for 1 turn. Damage scales off of max HP. For the skill 2, Tombstone Wedgie. Slams an enemy's underwear into their hole, causing a shockwave. AoE damage to all other enemies based on remaining HP. And then 50% chance to apply defense down for 2 turns. Heals self for 10% max HP per enemy hit. It's kind of a bonkers A2, huh? Back from the briefs. Channels dark energy from his sacred undergarments. Revives 1 fallen ally with 50% HP and full cooldowns. So like just refreshed cooldowns, basically. Grants immunity to self and revived ally for 2 turns. If no allies are dead, grants revive on death to himself for 2 turns instead. And then for the passive, we went Laundry of the Damned. When hit by a critical hit, gain defense up and taunt for 1 turn. Also removes 1 debuff from himself, and it can trigger once every 2 turns. Just stupid for the sake of being stupid. Let's do one. This one I think is pretty legitimate. This one I think is actually not bad at all. This one I could very much see being added to the game, especially in the vein of the way that they seem to like to do the robots in this game. So he's Sudsy. He's like a janitor robot. The S1 is Scrub Jab. Blast the enemy with a high-pressure water jet. 40% chance to remove a buff, a random buff. If successful, cleanse 1 debuff from the ally with the lowest HP. Skill 2 is Lather Up. Applies a thick layer of protective foam to all allies. Grants defense up and immunity for 2 turns. Cleanses 2 debuffs from all allies. Pretty good A2 there. And then Bubble Overload unleashes a massive blast of cleansing bubbles. Deals AoE damage scaling with defense. Reduces attack bar of all enemies by 30%. And removes all debuffs from all allies and heals them for 25%. So he'd obviously have to be a nat 5. But like he's pretty strong. Pretty legit. Slippery Customer. 30% chance to dodge incoming attacks. If an attack is dodged, gains speed up and healing over turn for 1 turn. And we probably have to put maybe like a once per turn thing. I don't know if, or lower the chance. So just leave the chance there always and not put a cooldown on it, or leave it 30% and then make it like once per one of his turns or something. You know what I mean? But I thought that was pretty sick. All right, let's do this is another one that it's kind of a joke, but also kind of kind of legit. I was really thinking about Death Lab when I was making this guy. So it's a fighter pilot, but like pie, because Jubi also did one that was about pie. So we've got a crust cutter. Fires a concentrated pastry cutter beam at one enemy, hitting 5 times and reducing the attack bar by 10% each hit. Skill 2 is Whipped Barrage. Launches a volley of 3 to 7 whipped cream missiles at all enemies, each with a 50% chance to apply blind for 2 turns and reducing the attack bar by 15%. The amount of missiles is based on your accuracy, and each critical hit reduces this skill's cooldown by 1 turn. So he could get a little stat hungry if you wanted to focus on all of those things, but even if you only focus on the accuracy, I think you would still be fine. That was kind of the idea there. Pioneer's Finale, because it's pie. If you do you see that it's pie? Drops a flaming pie from above in an aerial assault. AoE damage scaling with attack and crit rate. Removes all buffs before dealing damage. Applies burn to all enemies for 2 turns and reduces their attack bars by 30%. I don't know if I'd keep the crit rate. I was trying to think of a different thing to scale the damage on. Maybe to keep it in theme, we could do accuracy. Like have a weird thing where damage scales on accuracy. But I thought another weird way to go would be the crit rate, because we also gave him the crit synergy up here. So again, it's like another way to make him stronger if you can give him all the stats that we're talking about, but he's still usable without them. So I don't know, maybe we could swap that out for accuracy, but obviously he's made with Death Lab in mind. And then we give him a passive high pressure. When an enemy gains a buff, gain crit rate up and speed up for 1 turn. Depending on depending on what we're going to do with him, we could do different things. But if those buffs are already active, extends their duration by 1 turn, and when both buffs are active, increases your accuracy by 30%. Just again, so I don't know. I think he'd be kind of sick. Really, really nice for Death Lab, and maybe we make him, I don't know, semi-obtainable. I don't know. All right, how many we got left here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 4 we haven't looked at yet. So let's go with. Here's another one that's kind of silly, and then the next 3 are pretty sick. Lord Beakley. Feather Lash strikes the enemy with a sharpened wingtip. 30% chance to apply heal block for 2 turns. If the target has a buff, also applies blind. Royal Decree on the skill 2 lets out a commanding coup that unnerves all enemies. Applies attack down for 2 turns. 50% chance to provoke light and dark enemies for 2 turns. 2-turn provoke. Just on light and dark, though. Grants crit resist to all allies for 2 turns. So it's not an attack. It's just an AoE attack down, and then provokes light and dark enemies for 2 turns. So you're not going to trigger any annoying passives or anything. And then crit resist. And I don't know. I might even make a thing where like it can't be. Maybe we remove the 50% go can't be resisted, and ignores passives. So like even like the light twin blade he could provoke for 2 turns. You know what I mean? Maybe something like that would be kind of cool. Skill 3, dive bombs a single enemy with a burst of golden feathers. Ignores all buffs. 100% chance to stun. If the target is already stunned, ignores defense. So could be a pretty nasty skill. Depending on how you set him up. But yeah. And then the passive Monarch's Mandate. At the start of each round, grants immunity to self for 1 turn. On a critical hit, gain accuracy up and speed up for 1 turn, and that cannot be blocked. So even if he's got a block buffs on him, he's gonna still get those 2 buffs based on his passives. So I don't know, kind of a funky unit there. Okay, these next 2 I think are actually really sick. Let's do this one. It's Viking. He's a cyborg Viking king. I think he looks dope as hell. We've got Rune. I really tried to make these dudes, these next 2, I really tried to make them look cool and be good. So, Rune Blade Cleave strikes with a glowing axe infused with cybernetic rune power. Applies defense down. If the target has shield or immunity, then gain a 20% of your attack bar. Skill 2, Echo of the Fallen, channels ancient warrior spirits to strike all enemies. Applies a heal block for 2 turns. Damage is doubled if only 1 to 2 enemies are hit. So like if there are less enemies, it does a lot more damage. and then recovers HP based on the damage dealt. For skill 3, Thronebreaker Protocol, overclocks cybernetics and slams the ground with brute force. Damage based on defense and enemy max HP. Removes all buffs from enemies. Grants unkillable to self for 1 turn and a shield to all other allies based on the damage dealt. And then for his passive, Uncoded Resolve. When Viking resists the debuff, defense increases by 50%, stacking up to 9 times. It's very similar to the Water Dome Fighter's passive, who was one of my favorite units in the game for a long time. And I just figured we could use another version of that I mean, let's be real, he's probably in that 5. I really like her passive, so we went a little bit of a different route with it and added it to a stronger unit. So I think that's actually a pretty cool one. And then this one I also think is really cool. I called him Brainstorm, sort of like Krang vibes, right? The brain in the middle of the torso, but a little bit more futuristic. His skill 1, Neuroshock Strike, releases a burst of neural energy at 1 enemy, 35% chance to stun. Deals bonus true damage based on speed if the target is already stunned. Skill 2, Cognitive Overload, sends out a brainwave pulse to disrupt enemy concentration, attack all enemies, and removes 1 buff. 75% chance to apply speed down and heal block for 2 turns. Skill 3, Synaptic Lockdown, emits high-frequency neural field that overloads enemy brains. AoE Silence, and then reduces the attack bar of all enemies. Grants attack up and speed up to self if 2 or more enemies were silenced. And then I'd probably have him do something else now that I think about it. I was trying to do this kind of quickly. I'm actually already supposed to be done for the day, but I got really into this, so I spent longer working on it than usual. I would probably add some turn meter knockback or something as well if like 2 or more enemies were silent. I'd add something else to give him a little more there. I'm not sure exactly how I would rework that, but I feel like I want to rework that now. And then Artificial Ego gains accuracy up and crit rate up for 1 turn if not debuffed at the start of his turn. If debuffed, instead gains a shield equal to 15% of max HP and gains attack bar at the end of his turn. I thought was pretty interesting, so just kind of a cool unit. And then last, but certainly not least, we've got Bagelgeist. Old Bagelgeist. We have Crumb of Doubt on the S1. Tosses a cursed breadcrumb at the enemy, 30% chance to stun. If the target has more than 80% HP, applies defense down instead. Heals self for 10% HP if wearing a yellow beanie. And just don't question what that means, okay? Don't worry about it. Skill 2, Malaka's Revenge. Places a bomb on all enemies that never explodes. But they don't know it won't explode, so there's a 30% chance to lose their turns because they're nervous at the beginning of their turn. And then if the enemy tries to remove the bombs, Malaka kidnaps them forever. So like just removes them from the game if they ever try to remove the bombs. Skill 3, the bagel is in the room. Opens a spectral bagel rift above the battlefield. Multi-personality bagels rain down from the heavens, removing all buffs from all enemies and dealing damage equal to 10,000% of their max HP, but not before replacing Revive on Death buffs on all enemies. And yeah, you read that right. Don't ask questions. Revive on Death on all enemies, and if, let's be honest, when this attack kills any enemies, places another Revive on Death on them after they revive, and just continues to kill and revive enemies until the next patch releases. And then we're not done. We also have the passive. It's called SMS, and if this unit is present in any defense another user attacks, whether it's Arena or Airship Wars or Territory Wars or whatever, it'll automatically pull all of their available Illyrium that they've been saving and then upload the footage directly to Jubi's YouTube channel for a video for his channel. So yeah, pretty decent unit, I would say. Not a bad unit at all. But that's going to do it for me. I think we covered everybody. I think that was 10. I hope it was, because if not, I made one for nothing that didn't get talked about. But that's it. And again, just kind of hastily thrown together. Obviously, if we were trying to put units in the game for real, we would think a little bit more about it. But yeah, that was it. Let me know what you guys thought about this. Any of these units that you think would actually be cool to have in the game? And do you have any ideas for anything that you think would make a good unit. And you can be as detailed or not. If you just have a premise for a character design, or if you've got some skill ideas or some stuff you would like to see, I think that would be kind of interesting. And who knows, maybe the developers will watch these 2 videos and read the comments and come up with some ideas. Maybe a contest. I know sometimes it's popular for these games to do like a contest where you can submit designs for characters and the winner will get added to the game and stuff like that. So I don't know, but big shout out Jubi for the challenge and the idea. This was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see the comments on it. So I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure and go check out Jubi's video. I'll have it linked down below if you haven't seen it yet. Other than that, I'm done rambling. I'm gonna go get me some dinner and start getting ready for bed. But I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have a good one. I'll see you later.